I think when Smith went down, the Eagles should have become the favorites.
Agreed.
Because Dallas was a little top heavy anyway. I still have I really like CeeDee Lamb. I think he's excellent. But people are acting like he's like, now that Cooper's gone, that he's just going to come in and be Chase or Jefferson. Like, he's certainly being treated that way in fantasy. Like, he's a top 15 fantasy guy. I really like him. We still haven't seen it. We haven't seen it from a durability standpoint, all that stuff. The rushing, whatever happened to Zeke last year, I know he was injured, but now you laid out the case. Their offensive line is going to be now like convincingly below average. I didn't love what I saw from Dak last year either. We always talk about this, but Dak versus Kirk Cousins, I still don't really see a difference. And I think Philly's better.
And look at Philly,
Yes.
Bill. Look at Philly when this team last season, okay, obviously we know Jalen Hurts has played a little bit of 2020 and then all of 2021. In 2021, his top three wide receivers, a true rookie in Devonta Smith, a tight end, and a sixth rounder in year two named Quez Watkins. Those were his top three receivers in 2021. In 2020, this is based upon targets. In 2020, the top three targets, Greg Ward was number one, an undrafted former college quarterback. Number two was a 30-year-old Zach Ertz. And number three was Travis Fulgham, who is a sixth rounder who's now bounced around the NFL. Now you stick on this team, A.J. Brown, and just with the gravity that A.J. Brown is going to command out on the field with how defenses now have to play a true number one receiver, it's going to open up even more for the run game and the pass game for the Eagles. I think that the coaching's going to be good enough. The roster's going to be good enough. And now you have a real number one there that's going to help the quarterback even more and open things up further in the run game. I just think that this is a two-horse race. I know it's going to make House sad that we're not including the Commanders in this, but this division to me is a two-horse race. And I agree. I think the Philadelphia Eagles do deserve to be favored over what Dallas Cowboys have become. And so 39% chance to win the division. I think it should be higher than that.
Joe House has joined us. He didn't want to be left out. And I'm glad he joined us at this specific time because you made some Philly bets, mostly on Sharp's behest a couple months ago. And I just said how I think they should be favored in the division now. And I agree with Sharp. Even if you're getting them, somewhere plus 145, plus 150, whatever, I still like it because I think they should be like minus 120, minus 130. What'd you get them at, House?
Oh, plus odds across the board. Again, because we bet them so early, anticipating some regression out of the Cowboys and then the direction that the Cowboys have proceeded throughout this preseason between the continued lack of competency at the top and the injuries. But
we didn't even mention McCarthy. Like he's actually more likely to be first coach fired than to make the playoffs. Oh, yeah. That's one of House's bets.
One of my favorite bets.
Yeah, so Philly is plus 155. I didn't even tell you about this, House. I did this whole crazy elite player ranking thing that I tried to come up with some sort of scoring system to just see like which teams had the best players. I was shocked by how high Philly ranked from like an above average talent thing. Like they have like, I don't know, 10 to 12 guys that you would either call elite or like right on the level below elite. Especially like both lines. And the question for me is Hurts. Hurts' stats weren't terrible last year. He was terrible in the playoff game. And I think that left a little bit of a skunky smell for all of us. But House, I'm going to read you some bets. And you tell me if you get excited about any of these. These are Philly bets, by the way. Philly to be the number one seed in the NFC. 16-1. No?
I mean...
Sharp, who would you, if you at gun to your head, who's your number one seed in the NFC right now? Is it Green Bay is like the chalk pick?
To me, I would probably go Green Bay, but this is the exact conference where I'm betting, where I bet a bunch of long shots. And actually, as soon as I saw Tyron Smith go down at like 12:30 a.m. and 1 a.m., I was working with my guys on the West Coast and we were jamming up. We were buying in all the Eagles to win the NFC East at plus 170. And we're also betting all of these futures, like you just mentioned, Eagles to be the number one seed in the NFC, Eagles to win the NFC, just because their path has now gotten easier. The Eagles have had success against House's Commanders. The Eagles have had success against the Giants. The one team in the NFC East that the Eagles have struggled against consistently has been the Dallas Cowboys. And if this Dallas Cowboys version is markedly worse than what it's been in the past, and this Eagles version is better, and they can finally get over that hill and split or maybe sweep the Dallas Cowboys this season, it's going to go a long way to their ability to get a better playoff seed and have an easier road in the NFC playoff.
Here's their schedule. First 10 weeks. At Detroit, week 1. Minnesota. At Washington. Jacksonville. At Arizona. No Hopkins. Dallas home. Pittsburgh home. At Houston. Home Washington. At Indianapolis, week 11. That might be the easiest first 11 games anyone in the league has. They don't have, if you go through those first 11, their hardest game is probably at Indianapolis in week 11. And we don't even know what Indianapolis is going to be like. Then it gets a little harder down the stretch. But I think that number 1 seed bet, that's 16-1. I'm with you, Sharp. If I'm doing futures, I'm done with the futures unless I'm parlaying division things or something like that. I want like real odds with the futures. 16-1 for Philly feels like a decent one. I had a couple Super Bowl bets for you guys too, by the way. Oh, Philly over 10.5 wins, which is a little bit of an alternate prop on FanDuel, plus 140. House.
I'm joining that one.
KC, Philly, Super Bowl. What do you think the odds are?
Ooh. 25-1?
How about 95-1?
What?
This is on FanDuel. KC to beat Philadelphia in the Super Bowl is 140-1. Mahomes versus Jalen Hurts. So if you're going to bet the 95-1, you might as well bet KC because they'll be like 6-point favorites. The Cincy to play Philly in the Super Bowl. Sharp, what do you think those odds are? A Bengals-Eagles Super Bowl.
Oh, well, 115.
180-1. Chargers Philly, 130-1. Buffalo Philly, 70-1. I don't know, man.
That's a lot of market disrespect for Philly, it seems.
So, but the thing is, all right, let's talk this out. You're betting on Jalen Hurts, which I think makes all of us nervous. But if they get the 1 seed, I feel like the 1 seed has to be the piece of this. If the 1 seed now, I don't have to play in round 1. I have a home game round 2, home game round 3. Cold weather. I just need to win 2 games and I make it. I'm home for both of them. And I'm going against who is the scariest NFC team? There is none. Unless, Sharp, where do you stand on Green Bay? Because that's the upside team here. Because the defense, 2 really good running backs, and then the wide receivers are the card. But they've had the success the last couple of years. And there's the case for Green Bay is just like bet on the pedigree. The defense is going to be there. Probably a bad division unless Minnesota shows us something. And just that's the safe pick. So where do you stand?
There's no value in the futures market for me on the Packers, but are they likely to win? Like you asked me who I think will win the NFC if I just had to pick a team. I went with the Green Bay Packers. Pedigree is a large part of it. Coach that's won 13 games in a row for 3 straight years since he came to the NFL, though he does have his flaws, still obviously very capable. And Aaron Rodgers is still actually playing pretty good football right now. So making good decisions, helping out his receivers. So I still think that they are the team to beat in the NFC. But the Eagles, to your point earlier, the Eagles get to play Green Bay at home in Philly. The Eagles get to host a Week 17 game against the Saints. That's a dome team playing in Philly. They get to go on the road against some teams that they should be able to beat. And then if Dallas does not have Tyron Smith back for that Week 16 game, which, Jerry came out, initial reports were, well, he might be back in December. Well, then Jerry came out and said something like, we think he'll be back by the time we would play the San Francisco 49ers in the playoffs again, which is like mid-January. So he might not even be playing in mid-December when they're going to face the Philadelphia Eagles, when Dallas is playing the Eagles. I also bet Philly to have the best record in the NFL at 25-1 because of this easy schedule that they play. And because I think the AFC, there's going to be some cannibalism going on in that conference within those teams. And it's going to be hard for one of those teams to emerge with 14, 15 wins. And thus, the Eagles might be able to get it done.